Hello guys, welcome to another edition of this do-it-yourself channel. Today we're going to be working on this Speed Queen commercial washer machine. Now, whether your commercial machine has the coin mechanism or not, the procedure will be the same on the Speed Queen machine. Okay, so I've seen some videos on YouTube, and they, or most of them, if not all of them, they only show you how to change one bearing. I assume it's because the kit that you're gonna buy, it only comes with one bearing. But these machines, these puppies, they come with two bearings. And it's obvious that if one bearing is going out, you gotta change the other one. You cannot just change one and you're gonna get away with it. Sooner or later, if the other one is not as bad, it's gonna get that bad. So might as well, if you're going through the work of taking it apart, change both bearings. So I'm gonna get a step ahead of all of them, and I'm gonna show you step by step on how to change both bearings. And if you are able to do that like I did, you're gonna save quite a few hundreds of dollars. And not only that, you're gonna give this puppy another 10-15 years of life as far as the bearings is concerned. If the transmission and motor last, that bearing is gonna last you another 10-15 years. So yes, so if your machine is becoming too noisy or is leaking water to the bottom, it's time to change the bearings. So guy, let's go ahead and do it. All right guys. Okay guys, when ordering your kit, make sure that it comes with all of these parts. The gasket, the hub, this is the bearing. This is very important. If you don't see in the picture this bearing, do not order it. It needs to come with that bearing. Also, it needs to come with this seal. If it does not, if you don't see the seal, do not order it, because you won't find these by itself. Trust me. And the Loctite and the new bolts. Okay, this is the whole complete kit. And also this little plastic thing. You know, this is the complete kit. And make sure it comes with everything. All right, guys. All right. But I want you to hear the noise. It gets worse as it picks up speed. It's loud and ugly. So there is a main bearing right on the bottom of the whole container. It needs to be changed so that way we can avoid that noise. Alright guys, so let's do it. We're gonna order the kit. I'm gonna tell you what kit it is. Okay guys, so just to begin with, right when it's on it, I want you to see all the water that's leaking. So there's some problem right there. It's leaking through the main gasket. So this thing is going to need a major overhaul. I'm going to have to replace the gasket and the bearing and everything on it. Okay. Well, I can see where the water is coming from. Hopefully the camera is capturing it. See all the water is. So yeah, there's a gasket that goes on top, and it needs to be fixed. Okay, but I'm still gonna let it run just to make sure the pump is doing its job okay, and I'll get back to you. So we're gonna start off by taking the with a 1/4 inch socket we're gonna remove these little bolts on the back. What we want to do is get that cover off, so that way we can disconnect a hose. So we're down to the last one. And we're going to remove this cover. Now, over here on this little pump, we're going to disconnect the this hose. Okay. Also, we're going to disconnect the wiring. We're going to disconnect the wiring. We're going to put it. What we want to do is remove this top part completely off, because it's just on the way. We're not going to need it, and you might want to put the bolts back on so that way you don't lose them. It's just a habit that I have, because if I put somewhere else, I'm just going to lose it. I'm just going to put it back, all four of them. So now we're going to come to the front part, and we're going to remove those screws on the bottom using an 11/32 socket. I'm going to remove these bolts, screws. There is two of them, one on each end, and let's just go ahead and remove it. Once we have that, you pull the cover like that, and it comes off from the top. And we've got the machine over here exposed. Once you finish removing the cover, I want you to spread some lubricant on these screws holding the top cover. They're right underneath. So that we can remove easy without getting broken, because they break. Okay, using the same 11/32, let's go ahead and proceed by removing these screws out of there. Let's see if I can throw a little bit of light. I don't know if it'll get it better, but yeah, we're gonna remove both of them. Okay. If your Speed Queen machine has a coin mechanism, you have to remove a couple of screws. They're underneath. First you got to remove those two screws to remove all the electrical. And once we remove the electrical, there is two more screws on the bottom that we got to lose to be able to remove the cover completely off. So we can use an 8mm to remove these two screws. Once we got these screws out, we can go ahead and remove the electrical. Be careful. Move it to the side. And once you get the electrical, you can see the two screws right here on the bottom right there that you got to remove. An 11 millimeter will do the trick. And just remove both of them, okay? Okay. So we got both screws. We can put the electrical back on inside. Just keep these screws and bolts in a safe place where you don't lose them. And now we can go ahead and remove the top part. So you grab it, push it towards you, push it up, and you can take this out, okay? I personally would like to remove the whole thing out of here. Okay, because it's just on the way. So I'm going to remove it by pulling it towards me. You have to get it out of these clips. Once you get it out of the clips, you can pull it out. Okay guys, I took the whole thing out. As you can see. Now, right now is a good time to remove the agitator. You gotta pull it from both sides. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not. And then pulled out. We're gonna go ahead and remove this little rubber out of here. Grab some pliers and take that rubber out. Put it aside. Also, we're going to remove this hose out of here. We're going to remove this hose. I like to lubricate a little bit. Sometimes those things, they break off because they're already rusted, just like it happened right now. So it broke off. So I'm gonna need a new C-clamp. But in the meantime, I have to get this off. So in case yours breaks, well, you gotta do the same thing. It's very common for this thing to break. Ouch! That hurts. So I'm gonna grab the hose and pull it out. Once it's out, it's easier to take this clamp off. When we're ready to install a new one, we will. We have to remove this clip, this top cover, and for that we have these clips that we got to remove on all sides. Okay, all sides. And bingo, we got it out. Using an 11 millimeters, you're gonna remove the screw from the sprocket agitator. Get out. And you're gonna pull this out. Using a little screwdriver or something from the bottom, it pulls out. So I'm using my pair of channel lugs just to put a little bit of pressure from underneath. And it comes out. Just like it did right now. This is the agitator sprocket. Using your same channel lugs, if you prefer, grabbing it from the bottom, you're gonna pull the whole gasket. This is the gasket that protects the nut, but as you can see, it's all dirty. Okay. So I'm just going to clean this a little bit. Taking all the raw stuff. And I'm just going to spray I'm gonna spray, and I'm gonna leave it there. So that way it can penetrate for when I wanna take off the nut. And I'll show you how. In the meantime, I'm gonna remove all the bolts, all of them. It's 8 of them from the bin. Okay. To remove the nut, I purchased this tool, but it was the wrong one, as you can tell. So I had to manage. I bought one of these plumber's tool. It's a 1 7/16, the one that it fits really good on the nut itself. I had to fit it inside so that way I can fit this one and start banging with a hammer to try to lose this thing out. It gets tight, guys. Holding the phone as a pain in the ass, but more or less you can tell what I'm doing. And this is how this thing comes out. my banging. Okay, so once it's loose, you can take it out without any problems. So now I want you to take a look at this nut. It has a flat side and a round side. The round side, it goes down. Okay, it goes facing down. The round side facing down. Just remember that, guys. Okay, so we got that part. Now we're gonna continue by taking all the bolts off the bin. Okay guys, to remove these bolts, I have to tell you these bolts, they come with Loctite, so they're a little bit tight. If you're having problems, you might want to put the wrench and hit it with a hammer to loosen them up, and then you can take the rest off easy once you break the Loctite. Okay, and just go ahead and remove it. Don't worry about getting the screws messed up, because it comes with new screws, the kit. Okay, so those screws are gonna be for trash. So let's get it done, guys. So I'm about to finish with the last screw, and once we get that, then we can remove the bin. Okay, so I'm gonna take everything off from there and remove that bin. Okay guys, so you grab it from the sides and pull this up, and the whole bin comes out, as you can see. Now we got the bin out. I'm just gonna put it aside. And we're gonna continue on. Okay guys?
Okay.
To continue with it, it has a little plastic sprocket that I'm gonna try to remove right now. Okay, so that plastic, don't worry about it either, because it's replaceable. Your kit should come with a new one, so I just want you to get it out, okay, all the way. Then we're gonna apply more WD-40. Just applying WD-40 because we're gonna remove that cover. Alright guys, so now that we have this out, we have to pull these up, and honestly, the only way we're gonna be able to do that is with a puller. It happens that I have a puller. You're probably gonna have to get one from AutoZone. They lend it to you, or any other auto place, they lend it to you for free. This is too big, but that's what I have. Okay, so I'm gonna put this together and get it out. All right. Okay guys, so I got the pulley right on it. Like I said, this is a big pulley. It don't have to be a big pulley, but well, you just need a pulley to pull it out. This thing, it gets so hard. So what you do is just turn it on. Okay, you can hold it with one hand and pull it on the other side. Once you hear that crack, the rest will be too easy to cut. And bingo, I got this puppy out of here. And we're completed one more step. Yeah. With these things, just gotta be patient. Alright guys, and this is what I was talking about, right? The pulley. Those things there come out handy. Yeah. So this is where the whole mess right here. Right down there. That's where we have to pull this out, and that's where the bearing is gonna be at, and all that. But for now, we completed this job. Nah, we haven't completed the job. We completed this step. Okay, let's jump to the next one. Next, we have to remove the filling hose, the sensor hose. This is the one that it tells the machine that it already has water. So if you can see, I'm just moving it through the sides and pulling it out. I'm doing it from behind. This, just grab it, turn it, and pull it out. Make sure you don't mess with the gasket. So once we remove the hose, we're gonna remove this springs. It's got 6 springs, and what you do is that you hold them really tight and pull it out, just like that. And you gotta do all of them. All right. And it's got 2 more on that side, on the back, and the ones on the back, they're a little bit harder, but you can still stick your hand through the sides and pull it out. Just take all of them, okay? Before we can remove the whole assembly out of the washer machine, we have to remove these 2 hoses from the pump, the inlet and the outlet. And get ready for some water to come out, okay? I'm gonna get the other one out too. Notice that the C clamps, they're facing you, facing this way. So I'm gonna remove them. Now we can remove the whole assembly out of here and put it outside. Okay. We still gotta disconnect one more thing, but I want to show you how is it done once we pull it out. Yeah. Okay, so I took this out a little bit farther because we still got to disconnect the electrical, which is the capacitor and the electrical up there. Now on that one is the one that I'm really concerned, because you got to be very careful. It has very little thin metals, so you gotta press this clip up and push it out. Make sure you do that, otherwise it will not come out. We have to lose the capacitor. Get a 5/16 socket. Just gonna loosen them up a little bit. You don't have to remove it, and take the capacitor out. Careful, because it's a capacitor, it can hold some charge right there, so you gotta be very careful. On the wiring, all you have to do is push the wiring up and out of here. Okay, now you can get the wiring out, put it on the side, and now we can remove the whole assembly out. Okay, and to remove. That's why it wasn't letting me. I had that spring over there, and which I'm going to remove quickly. And that's it. Now see that? Okay. So I want you to be very careful with that. I'm gonna put this aside because we're gonna need it. Okay guys, so by using a 1/2" socket, we're gonna remove the motor out of here. Gotta remove 4 bolts, as you can see. Keep these bolts, okay? They got the Loctite, so they're a little bit tight at the beginning. So just make sure you break them loose, and once they're break loose, you can take them off, okay? It's those 2 on the back and those 2 right here on the bottom. But before that, I'm gonna do something real quick. I want you to make a note in here that it goes besides the hose, so that way you put this exactly the way you took it out, okay? Okay, so now that I remove all bolts, I'm gonna remove the whole motor. We gotta make sure the belt comes out. You can take the tension out of here, out of the tensioner, and then bring the motor up. And take the belt off from here. Having technical difficulties. And I'm getting the whole motor out here. The belt is kind of bad. I had changed it. It was brand new. But I'm going to take the motor out. I'm going to put it aside. Okay, so before I remove the transmission housing, I'm going to put hose and a little arrow, meaning that this is the side that I'm going to put the transmission, just the same as I took it out. Okay, so let's get it done. Okay guys, as you can see, this thing has 2 bearings. one for the bin and one right there inside of the transmission. Now, in most of the videos they only show you how to change the one on the bottom, but if you already went through all this work, it will be worth it to change both of them because they both get damaged. So we're gonna go ahead and proceed by removing the top part. Okay. So using a 10 millimeters, we're gonna remove this plate which holds the the bell wheel that holds it into the shaft. So we're gonna remove all three of them. Okay, there's three. Let's take them off. So I'm down to the last two. Now we have to remove these plates out of here. These plates. Okay, so now using a 7/16 socket, you're gonna remove the top bolt, holding with your hands the transmission. You're gonna hold it with your hands, the bottom transmission, and loosen the bolt on top, so that way we can take them off. Let's get the wheel out. We're gonna remove the clutch out of here. All right. Gonna clean this up later on. And that's where the other bearing is sitting at. Okay, so we're gonna proceed by removing the whole transmission out of here. We're gonna use a 1/2" socket to remove all the bolts and the plate from the transmission and bin, so that way we can remove the transmission out of there. And this is a 1/2" socket. It's 6 bolts all the way around. Okay, each leg it has 2 bolts. So let's get it done. And last, we're gonna grab an 8mm socket and remove the screws from the weight balancer. This is the weight balancer. It's full of concrete, and that's what it makes the balancing. We're gonna remove them so that way we can free the transmission. There's 2 of them. Okay. And now we can remove the transmission from there. But before, I'm going to take all the bolts out of there and go ahead and do it. So now we can go ahead and pull the transmission out. just like that. Okay, now we freed the transmission from here, and we're getting ahead. Alright guys, so we're going to put it on a safe place. I'm going to clean the transmission. I'm going to do some stuff before continuing with this. Okay, we gotta remove the transmission from that bearing, change that bearing, and yeah, that's what we gotta do. Okay guys, so I put the transmission the transmission assembly on the side. I'm gonna put the bolt back on in here on the top, and then with the shaft I'm gonna hit it right here, so that way I can loosen it and bring it out. And as you can tell, it did came out. This is already loose. A couple more bangs, and it will be completely free. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove it from here. Bingo. Transmission is out. There you go. We got the transmission. And now we got this bearing that we have to worry about, that we need to remove. Okay, that's a piece of cake. All we have to do is turn it around, and with the same shaft that we removed the transmission, we're gonna bang it on the sides. Until the bearing completely comes out. Just hit them on the sides. And bingo. Camera got cover, but anyway, I got the bearing out from there. Now it's time to install the new ones. When they come, they're on order. On the meantime, I'm gonna clean everything really good. And yeah, this is how you remove the bottom. I don't know, I guess you call them with the bottom bearing. While we're waiting for the parts, we're gonna remove this bearing. We have to take all the from the inside, we have to remove all the old sealant that's full of sealant on the sides. We have to remove all that, so that way that bearing can come up. Then we're gonna clean this up and have it ready for installation. Okay guys, it's time to install the new bearing, the one that I ordered for the bottom, if you want to call it. I did a little bit of a cleanup in here. I cleaned up the hub. Now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna apply a little grease in here. That's where the new bearing is gonna be sitting on, and it's gonna be getting stuck on. And it's time for us to install the bearing. It's right here. Now I have the outer part of the old bearing, and that's what I'm gonna use to get it in. You'll never hit a bearing on the inside metal. You always hit it on the outside. Okay. We're gonna make sure it's all the way to the bottom, and it is. As you can see, the bearing is hitting all the legs on the bottom. So we got the bottom bearing installed, ready to be put on the other part. So let's continue on, guys. Guys, on the bin, it's time for us to remove the seal. This is a bearing seal, and what it is that all this is sealed with special sealant, the one we bought. So what we have to do is kind of like cut like all the way to the bottom to remove that seal. Afterwards, we have to clean this really good to make sure we have because we have to put the seal back. So once you are successfully able to remove the most of the sealant, that old sealant, what you can do is you can stick a screwdriver and slowly start pushing it up. As you can see right here, this one already came out. I'm just trying to lose the whole seal, and eventually it will come out. And now that I loosen them up all the way around, I'm just gonna grab some pliers and pull it out. And this is it, guys. Don't worry about the seal. This seal, it's going to be trash. Okay. So notice how that other bearing, it was in there. Okay. So now it's time to remove that bearing. Let's try to clean it a little bit more here before we pushed the whole thing out. Okay? Just clean it up all the way around. Once you remove all the seal, you can give it a couple of bangs until this thing pops out. Okay? And we got it out, as you can see right here. Yeah. Alright, so this is the bearing out. Pretty messed up, really messed up. So if we put that, Okay guys, so on the kit that you order, just make sure this bearing it comes with it. Unfortunately, I didn't pay attention on the kit that I ordered, and it didn't came with it, so I don't want to spend the whole $100 something for another kit. So make sure it comes with it. I'm gonna show a picture at the beginning of this video, as a matter of fact, for all the parts that you should be getting with the kit. So now I'm gonna have to try to revive this, and what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to try to remove this bearing and then clean this up really good and reuse it. Okay, so what I have to do very careful is try to put the vise on these two edges and try to bang the bearing out. Let's see if I can do it successfully without damaging the gasket. This is metal with gasket. Okay, so I was so lucky to find this piece of pipe that it's remarkably the same size of the outside orifice of the bearing. That's gonna give me enough space so that way I can push at least a little bit the bearing out. I don't think it will go all the way down, but at least to put it out. And I don't want to damage the like I say, the plastic. So I'm just gonna center it right there. All right, so now we're gonna grab out our center punch, and what we're gonna do is from the metal of the bearing, just push it out on both sides. Remember that bearing, it's not good anymore. We don't care if you damage the bearing. I can feel that it's moving already. Tighten this a little bit more. And oops, sorry for the camera. And yeah, look how the bearing is coming out. See that? That's fantastic. And bingo, we got the bearing out, and we didn't damage the seal. Here's the bearing. All right, and I'm gonna try to revive this. I'm just gonna put some rust remover and clean it really good, so that way we can get it as good as new. This is just in case you made the same mistake as I did, guys. The kit comes with a new bearing, the whole kit. If you try to look for this piece by itself, it's gonna tell you there is no longer it's no longer out there. It's discontinued, so that's a bummer. But that's why I'm doing this. Okay guys, so I'm gonna see, this is what I found, and amazingly it matched the outer portion of the bearing, and the inside it was enough so that way the bearing will go through. If you don't have that, you can do it with a vise. How? Okay, well, you close the vise and try to measure the outer metal just like this, and then push it out. I did it before and it worked. And so yeah, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try to revive this. I'm gonna throw a little bit of rust remover to the metal. I'm gonna try to take it off the plastic. And I'm gonna throw more inside, so that way I get the rust out. Alright guys, so I'm gonna leave it like that for a short period of time, remove all that rust, and I'm gonna continue with the work. Okay guys, so I got everything cleaned up in here. I try to remove as much as I can of the rust. So I'm gonna lay it down here to put the new bearing on it. And gotta be very careful with this because I don't want to bend these. This is kind of like a very delicate stuff. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna apply a thin coat of grease over here. That will help the new bearing go easy and also prevent from rust, you know. Now we're gonna put the bearing in here. Okay, put the bearing. Now with the outer part of the bearing, I'm just gonna give it some small taps all the way around, slowly too. Okay. Okay. Don't ever hit the bearing from the center, always from the outer. Okay, from the outer. That's how you protect the bearing. I think it's going good. Okay, it's getting in there. It's getting in there. It's getting in there. And let me see if I got it in there all the way. It seems like if it's all the way. I'm gonna clean the hey. Okay guys, so I got the bearing all the way in, as you can see. Brand new bearing. This is gonna work so awesome. I just needed to make sure it was all the way up, which it is. You can see right here on the edges, it's all the way up. Make sure everything looks good and nice. And this puppy is ready to go. Again guys, one more time I have to tell you, your kid should come with this brand new. Unless you ordered the wrong one. I ordered the wrong kit and they didn't want to return it, so that's the problem. I don't know why they don't accept returns on this. Probably because they know that if you messed up, you messed up. Okay guys, so we got this part going. Let's get it done. Let's continue with the rest of the stuff. Okay guys, so before I install the transmission, I'm gonna clean the shaft a little bit on this side. This is some kind of special polishing cloth. It's not abrasive. You don't damage the shaft. All it does is cleans it. Alright guys, that's totally cleaned. It's beautiful, and it's time for us to install it over there, okay? And I am applying a little bit of grease on each one of the sprockets before I install it. Okay guys, so it's time for me to install the transmission, and I have it on that position. So what I'm gonna do is that I am going to insert the transmission from the bottom, just like the way it goes. Yeah, just like that. Isn't it that beautiful? It just went straight and nice without any problems. So now the clutch, which goes right there. There you go, with the teeth. And then the two washers, the soft one first and the metal one second, just like that. This, then the pulley for the belt, awesome. But before installing this, the top part, I am going to fill it up with grease in here. Here I am. I'm gonna put grease on the shaft and inside the there you go. Now we can go ahead and put the plastic thing. There you go. Beautiful. We're getting there. Next, we're gonna put the screw so that way it stays in place, the top part. And we still gotta tighten them up, of course. Okay. And then we gotta put the plates. Okay, let me put a pause in here. Okay. In the process of tightening them up. Okay. Okay. And now we gotta put the plates. So there is no mistake how this thing goes. They go in between the pulley, and then we put the bolts. And we have 3 of them, so we got to do all 3 of them all the way around. Okay guys, I am down to the last plate, and you gotta force it. Make sure that the bolts, I don't know if you see these little marks, that's where the bolts go. Bolts, not bolts. So you gotta stick that little piece of metal through there and try to align it with the holes, so that way you can put the bolts, screw it. You gotta play a little bit. It's not much. It's just that angle that I am right now, I can't see very well. The problem of my life, my vision. Move it around so that way you can screw it in, and bingo, I got one. So I'm down to the next one. Yep, got them. Okay, and then make sure you tighten them up. Okay guys, I'm down to the last plate. And bingo. Okay, so I got the transmission. This is how it goes. I don't know if you can see the clutch. It pushes this down and then move and then goes. And if you can feel that little spring going up and down, that means that you got it right. Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, beautiful. This is getting really, really good. Proud of myself. Anyway, so yep, we got the bearing there. It's gonna be very quiet. Everything seems to fit perfectly, and we're on it, guys. Gotta keep going. By now the bin, it should be clean. Remember, I put the CLR, and let's get it done. Okay guys, so I'm gonna grab a spatula and I'm gonna take all the scum. These guys right here, this has to be extremely clean, okay? So first I'm gonna do it with a spatula, and then with a cleaner or a brush, wire brush, so that way I can take all the lime that it's stuck in there. Okay guys, so let's clean it up. Okay guys, this right here is CLR, and I'm just gonna throw it to see if the lime goes away. I don't want that lime on it, and that will speed up the process of cleaning this thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Spray. CLR all over, and I'm gonna see the results. Okay, all right guys, so we're gonna leave it there for a little bit, and I'm gonna go back to the bearing hub to see how is it going. Overall, the CLR did a really good job. Just here, I still gotta remove this really good. And I think I'm gonna use a wire brush. I don't want any residue at all. And so yeah, I'm gonna remove it. This is still sealing, a little bit of rust. But yeah, I'm gonna remove the whole thing and then continue with the job. Guys, so to remove the skunk or gum residue, you can use any strong solvent. For right now, I'm gonna be using this one right now. It's a very strong and powerful liquid. and yeah, I'm gonna use it to remove the rest of the residue and clean it. Okay. All we have to do is add some more on the towel, more liquid, and then keep removing it. Once I finish removing the glue, I'm gonna use this isopropyl alcohol to clean and make sure that there is no residue of anything. Might as well clean the whole thing, but the most important thing is right here around the where the bearing is gonna go, because we're gonna put the sealant right here, and we gotta make sure it's clean. All right, guys. Okay, now that it's clean, it's time for us to turn the bin upside down. Before I do anything else, I'm gonna do a little cleanup over here on the bottom. It's kind of dirty, so I'll come back to you. Okay, so now that we have the bin clean, all right, it's time to put our bearing back in place. You see this little notch right here? Well, obviously it's got to match that notch right there, just like that. That's the way it's gonna go. So once we have that, we're gonna throw the whole transmission back in here and set it up the way it's supposed to be. I'm gonna turn it this way because I don't know if you remember that I wrote on the transmission hose, so it's got to be next to it, just so that way I know where it belongs. Now I also gonna throw a little bit of grease in here on the whole thing, just a little bit of grease. Okay, so as I mentioned it to you, I'm gonna put a little bit of grease in the whole bearing and on the sides, just to keep it lubricated and avoid a little bit of rust. Just a little bit, you don't need that much. Make sure this thing is flat against the bin, and then it's time for us to put the transmission on top of it, slide it on. So I'm gonna do that. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna bring the transmission, and I'm gonna lay it on top of it. And okay, so I lay it right there. Remember the thing that I wrote in here, which is hose, is right next to it. Try to match all the bolts. Make sure the transmission is sitting right on the bearing, which it is, right there. And also make sure the holes are aligned all the way around, so that way we can continue with the job. Okay, guys? So let's do it. So it's time to put this metal shims. Now if you take a close look at it, it's kind of curved. Well, that makes sense because the curve size goes facing the bin. Okay, so now we're gonna apply a little bit of a Loctite on each one of the bolts. I like blue. They have red. The red is considered permanent. It's really strong. The blue you can remove it, but it still does the job. So we're gonna put them on here. We're gonna do all 3 of them and proceed by tightening them up. Okay, so I'll see you whenever you do the rest. So we're gonna proceed by tightening them up. I put all of them first without tightening them, so that way you can get center, and then well, we'll do the rest. I'm using a crescent wrench this time because I just want to. But you can use the same ratchet that you used to remove it. I just love my crescent wrench. It's a crescent wrench that it has like a pressure handle. I haven't seen one of these in many years, man. And down to the last one. Alright guys, so it's done. Transmission, it's done. It's put onto the bin. Now we're going to proceed by installing these 2 screws for the weight, or the balancer, whatever you want to call it. And for that we had these 2 little screws that we're going to screw it on here. Now remember, you're dealing with plastic in here, so do not over tighten it because you can mess up the threads on the plastic. And okay, just go easy and put it tight, but not that tight. You can measure your force. Okay, I got one and just the other one. And we're pretty much done with the installation of the transmission on the bin. Okay guys, all right, done deal guys. Let's continue with it. All right guys, so before doing anything else, I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup on the housing itself on the bottom. It's full of dirt. I put the electrical kind of high about, so that way I don't wet it. It doesn't get wet. Now I'm just gonna grab a hose and start cleaning. You know, just a little bit. I mean, it don't have to be perfect, but I don't want all that dirt. Now that I'm taking advantage that it's holding it apart, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it. All right, guys. Okay, see you on the next step. Okay, so it's time to put the bin and the transmission back on the housing. For that, well, prepare the area. Make sure the springs are facing the way you want it. You see how the spring goes? They come out through there, and yeah, just it's 4. So just try to make them. You know, this is one of the hardest part, I believe. The spring. It's one of the hardest part of all to put it back on. It's a little bit tight, and make sure it's clean. Make sure the electrical, it goes through that little clip. Now, a lot of people likes to put the motor back on before putting the whole bin back on the transmission. I don't like to do that, and I'm gonna explain you why later on. One reason is the weight. This is much easier to put it on it, and another one is the connection, but I'll explain it as I'm installing the motor back on place. So I believe my space right here is prepared. Okay. Don't forget that this plastic ring goes right in the middle, and that transmission, the top of the transmission has got to sit right on top of it. That's important. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to prepare the camera to put it on it, and I'm going to install the bin. Okay. Okay guys, so hopefully the camera will catch all this, but as I said, I'm going to grab the bin, and I'm going to install it. Right on top of the plastic. I got the bin on top of it, right on top of the plastic. How do I know what goes towards the front? Well, that's real easy, because you got those bolts. That's where the motor is mounted, so it's facing us. It's going to be facing us, so it's going to be these screws right here on top, and those on the bottom, and we want that. But before I go ahead and install that, well, I'm going to go ahead and install the springs, which in my opinion, it's the hardest thing to do. They're kind of especially the ones on the back, they're kind of the space is limited, and I wish I can show you how with the camera the way it goes, but sometimes like right here it's kind of difficult to show you, but I'm gonna try. To identify where the spring goes, it goes on each one of those slots. This is where the spring goes, and it goes inside those little square holes. That's how you identify it. That's you know, what you do is you grab it with the pliers and put a lot of tension on it, and until you get it inside the squares. Okay, so try to line these up and try to match the all the squares, and yep, that's how it goes. So since it's laying that way, I'm gonna try to put a spring on the front. It goes towards the front, and as I mentioned it to you, sorry. Okay, so make sure the spring is as I told you. We're gonna grab the spring and put it on the square. I just want to hold it right here. Okay, so I'm gonna do the next one too. Okay, now I'm gonna try to line it up, kind of like towards the front. Now I'm gonna try to put the ones on the back, which, as I told you, this is the hardest one to me, I should say, because of the space. Also, I don't know if the camera will capture this, but I'm gonna try. And I got one from the back. Now I'm gonna try to do the other one from the back. Guys, I have to tell you that this is as sharp as a knife. So when you put your arm through there, it can cut you. Last time I did one, it cut me. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna put a towel, so that way I don't cut myself again this time, because I was already feeling the pressure. And again, I'm gonna attempt to put one on the back. Okay guys, as I mentioned it to you, it was so tight for me to show you how to put the springs, but they're got all on there. Make sure you put a towel on this. It's too sharp. Look at this. I just gonna cut myself, but you can make a really big cut if you don't put something in here. I couldn't record the ones on the backs because the space is too limited, and my arm wouldn't show you how to put it, but I just took my hand, grabbed the thing, and with a lot of force I installed the springs on the back. Now you can tell how center this thing looks. Okay, so let's continue, guys. Okay, don't forget to put the pressure water back on its place from the back. Put it right in the hole and kind of turn it so that way it goes in. It's kind of tricky, but if you kind of twist it and turn it, it goes in. Right? Of course, that gasket, it has to be in good conditions. In my case, it was in good conditions. Let's continue. Okay guys, so finally I got the rest of the parts because I was missing. So before putting the outer tube lip seal, it's a fancy name, this is how they call it, outer tube lip seal, we're gonna clean up really good over here with alcohol again because it was a couple of days, and then we're gonna install this, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. But before we continue, like I say, we're gonna clean. I'm gonna throw alcohol right there, and I'm just gonna clean so that way we can remove all the debris. And of course, we're gonna let it dry. That's a one good thing of the alcohol, that it dries fast. Okay guys, so once this thing is clean, we're gonna apply a generous amount of sealant all the way around in here. Kind of dry it up on me, and it's kind of tight. This is a really good seal, guys. It's a pretty strong seal. So since I already used it one time, you probably got it dry a little bit inside. Okay, guys. So once we get it, we're gonna put the seal. All right. Alright, so now that we got the seal, okay guys, so we're gonna put we're gonna add this ring right here that it comes with the kit. This ring is just to be used to push that seal down, and then you can throw it away. And then we're gonna put, should go in. Okay, it just needed a little bit of a knockdowns. So once in there, we're gonna put the nut. And we're gonna tighten them up. What this is doing is pushing the seal okay. Once you push the seal, you're gonna take it off again. Take it off to continue with the rest. Okay, I don't know if you can see how the ring was pushed down, and this got smashed. So now with our fingers, we're gonna smooth it out, the rest of the seal, and we're gonna make sure that this thing gets a pretty good seal. If you need to apply more, well, you apply more. Be very generous on this thing. Make sure there's no bubbles, but if you think it's necessary to apply more, just go ahead and apply it. I don't think it will be necessary on my case. I think I put enough. And I think I got a pretty good seal. You see that? I think I got it. All right, let's continue with it. Okay, so now we're gonna install the hub. But before doing that, your kit should come with this Loctite This is metal to metal, so it uses this Loctite to prevent corrosion and to lubricate, and yeah, so make sure you put it all the way around. All right, now we're gonna install it like we did. All right, so now we have the hub. We're gonna put the plastic insert. Now you see these fingers, well, they gotta be up, the fingers up, and we're gonna install it right on the so we have to be pushing it down from all the angles. So I want you to take a look how the plastic insert, it should be on each of the channels. So now we're ready to put the nut. So here it is, the nut. I'm going to insert it. And we're going to do the same as the other one. We're going to tighten them up by putting the tool and get it really, really tight. Okay, I think I got it pretty tight. So now we got to this point. We're gonna grab the gasket, which came on your kit, and I just want to see those notches. Well, it fits right on. It fits right on it, and those notches are just made so that way it can match the holes and it won't move when you put the bin in here. So once we put that, we're ready to put the main bin inside. I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit before I do that, and so we're ready to put all the bolts and get it done. Okay, so now that we have the bin cleaned up, we got the gasket in there. All we have to do is just insert the bin. Center, and as you can see, it is aligned with each bolt. Now your kit should have come with new bolts and new plastic washers, which we're gonna add it on. Okay, so I put the gaskets on each one of the bolts, and I'm just gonna insert it. Four, and I'm just gonna do the other four. So now that we have all the bolts in place, we're gonna grab a 1/2 inch deep socket or whatever and start tying them up on a zigzag form. Don't go like that, but like start kind of. If you don't have a 1/2 inch, a 13-inch socket will probably do it. So now that I have all the nuts installed, I mean the bolts, I'm gonna install the motor, and this is where the fun part comes in. I told you not to install the motor before, so the reason I told you not to install the motor like other guys do it is because of the connection. The connections on the motor itself, they're very delicate, and if you messed up on one of them, you're gonna have a bad connection. So you gotta pass the wires through here. I don't know if you remember this. There's a pin where this thing goes, and all you have to do is stick it through the hole. Now we got that installed. So we're gonna bring the motor and we're gonna put it, and before we install it, we're gonna make the connections. Now the motor goes on these two bolts and these two down here. Okay, so we're gonna place the motor as I told you. All right, I'm gonna try to get the belt the way it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna get a little bit of a Loctite. On one of the bolts. This is gonna be a blue Loctite. But before I do that, as I was telling you, I want to do the connections, and I really want to see what I'm doing in here and try to put it on the right place. Sorry for the camera, it's moving. If you don't put it on the right place, will mess up. Okay. Put in a little bit of Loctite. These guys originally put red Loctite. Red Loctite, it's considered permanent. You only put red Loctite where places where you think you're not gonna loosen the bolts. Loctite. Okay. I'm gonna tighten it, but not over tighten it until you get the bottom bolts. I just want to make sure I got the belt the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Okay. So I know the camera didn't catch it, but that's how the belt is going to be. So now that I got the belt in position, I'm going to try to lift this up so that way I can put the bottom bolts. Okay, for some reason this is not getting into place. I don't know why, but I think what I'm gonna have to do is loosen the top and put the bottom on this one, because the bottom I have slack and the top I don't. I think I can manipulate the one on top better than the bottom one. So that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, see that? So the camera can catch it. Okay, now I'm putting the top. Yeah, it's easier to manipulate the top. So if you're having problems putting the bottom one, just loosen the one on top, and probably the same on this other side. Now that we have the other two, I'm just gonna move it so that way I can install the bottom one. And it's real easy. It's real easy to put the bolt on the bottom because it has space to do it, and then you're able to manipulate the top without any problems. Now we're going to tighten them up, all four of them. Remember, I use blue Loctite. You can use either Loctite you want, or not use Loctite if you prefer. But the Loctite, it just makes it steadier, so that with the vibration the bolts will not lose. That's all, because there is a lot of vibration on these machines, you know that. Sorry about the phone that is moving. It's just that Okay. Okay, so far so good. Now we're gonna put the capacitor where it belongs, and we're gonna tighten them up also. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm connecting the water hoses. Always make sure you tighten the C-clamp facing towards you. Okay, so at this moment I'm tightening up the clamps for the water hoses that goes to the pump, and I am missing one clamp. I don't know what I did to it, and I have to look for it. If not, I'm gonna have to put another one. And let's not forget that we have to tighten up the capacitor. You don't want this thing loose, because if it fails you can create a short. So we're almost there. Okay. All I gotta do is connect this water hose with a new clamp. Okay guys, so I found the other clamp, and we're gonna just tighten them up, make sure it's tight. Okay guys, so we're done as far as the motor transmission installation. The wiring is everything on, so now we're ready to keep working on top. So now that we have completed the installation of all the bolts with the gasket, it's time for us to put the seal. The seal goes right there, and we're just gonna start pushing it down until we make sure that it's nice and tight and it's all the way down. Okay. Okay, so the seal, it's all the way down. I don't know if for the camera, I'm trying to see if the camera may capture it. See that? Okay, and the top, it's gotta be sealing that stuff too. Okay. Now that we have completed the seal that it's on it, it's time for us to put the sprocket. And your kit should come with this little tube of grease, and what we're gonna do is that we're gonna apply it right in here. Okay, it's not open. And I assume now it's open. So I'm gonna apply this grease in here on the entrance of the sprocket. This is so it's so when you try to remove it again, you don't have any problems. If your kit didn't come with grease, you can put any kind of grease, guys. Alright, so once we got the grease on the sprocket, we're gonna go ahead and install it right there. push it all the way down, and then, well, we're gonna put the bolt. Okay, we're gonna tighten them up really good, and we're on it. We're gonna grab a 7/16, and we're gonna get this bolt. And we're gonna get it tight. Alright. Now, if you remember, there is a top seal in which we have to put it on. Alright. Fantastic. We're almost done there. Okay guys, now it's time for us to install the agitator. You know what guys, I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. I'll come back to you. Okay, so I cleaned up a little bit the agitator, and I'm just gonna stick it in there. There you go. You gotta find the way where it sits good, and we're completing the job. We're doing a good job in here, so let's get it going. Alright guys, so as the next step, remember that cover that we have. I give it a little clean. We're gonna put this gasket that it came with your kit, and what you do is you put it just inside this roof, and you can get it right here. You can bend down a little bit, and then let go, and that'll hold the gasket in place. Something, and just roll it around. Alright, so we got the gasket. Now we're gonna install it, and as you remember, this thing, it has to be I don't know if you remember, but the hose has got to go right here, so it's got to match that, you know, on the installation. So see, it's probably right there. That's where it fits the most. And okay. I think it's under. Okay. We have to put the hose, and we're getting a step closer. Okay guys, so now that we have everything installed the way it's supposed to be, we're gonna put the cover, and we're gonna complete the job. Okay. I'm gonna move this hose, it goes inside. This for the back, and I'm gonna put the cover right in here. So I hope the camera catches this. But this goes through the hole, as well as this hose right here. Okay. Now I want you to see these notches. There is notches. Those little notches right there. This, it goes right inside that leg. So we're gonna try to do it. And we're gonna push it back. Okay. This side went right on. Now I'm gonna make sure the other side goes in too. And it is. It is. Okay. So now that we have that, we gotta make sure this little pin fits into the hole. I don't know if you catch that, but the same thing is gonna happen on this side. See that little pin? Yeah, there you go. So now we have a perfect seat. Okay. So we're getting on it. Now let me tell you that when I remove these bolts right here, it got damaged. So what I did is that I ordered the parts, but it's okay. I still can use it like that. I'm gonna be using it. But one thing I do have to do is fix and connect the back connection and the hose to finalize the job. Okay guys, so we're almost about to complete our job, and gonna get this cover out, and here it is. Okay, so remember that we have to plug this right here. This is the pressure. This is what it measures the amount of water that it's allowed. You know, it works by pressure. And then we have to connect this wiring. And bingo. Just make sure everything looks good and connected. And we're on it. Okay, we're gonna put the cover back on. Putting all the bolts. We're gonna get the bolts like. And that's it, guys. The only thing we got left to do is to put the front cover back on in here, and we completed the job. All we have to do is test it out and see how it does, which I'm expecting that it's going to do really good, because we did a really good job in here. So let's get it on. Let's put the cover on. Okay, to put the cover, remember those clips, they gotta go like in an angle, and they gotta fit on those the holes, and you gotta push it so that way you can get it on. Okay, so you push it a little bit hard and it goes in, and all we have to do Let's put the bolts on the bottom and we're pretty much set. Guys, I put the 2 screws on the bottom, and guys, we're all set. This machine is ready to rock and roll.